What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Sunday Get Down. It's your boy Yemi. Man, I am tired, boy. I did a marathon last night with a few people. Shout out to Sincerely Yours, Nadia. Um, my boy Zero the Infinite, Vivaciously Shay, The Voice, you know, Chica, E, and Miss B Town, Purple, Purple Love, and to everybody that we were on stream with last night, just kicking it. What's up, T? Welcome to the chat. I'm not gonna stay on here long. I'm probably gonna stay on here about an hour and a half, and then I'm gonna come down. I'm waiting on some people to come in. Want to talk about a little bit some subject matter, men and women issues. Want to hear a woman's point of view. Um, you know, just got some questions I want to throw out there to the sisters, um, because I think it's one of those things that we as a community need to do to bring, brothers and sisters back together, get them back tight, bring some balance and some peace into the home. A lot of our issues in our community, I honestly believe, are communication issues. Us not knowing how to deal with each other in a respectful manner. Um, so I wanted to be serious, but I needed to be a little bit light as well. So I'm just waiting on some more people to pop up in the chat, and we will get started. I would put my face on the screen, but I ain't got time to be driving these women crazy. So I'll just put my baby on the screen. That's my boy Boaz, American Bully XL. He's at about 90 pounds right now. He's just turned 2, and he's looking good. Even though I didn't crop his ears, he's still a beast. That's my boy. Um, so I'm just waiting on some more people to come on up to the stream so we can chat, talk. If you want to come into the stream, feel free. The link is already in the notification box. If you got anything you want to say, anything you want to share, just come on in to the stream and no, close the door, baby. Lily, just close my door. Yeah, so thank you, baby. Well, I'm sitting up here trying to bend over right now. This dang knee done stiffened up on me. I had knee surgery in December, had a total knee replacement. I messed my leg up when I was in the service. And I've been sitting on it for about 30 years, had 5 knee surgeries. And yeah, so that made the 6. I just went ahead and said, I'm tired of it, and took the whole knee and threw it away. Took the whole knee and threw it away. So sometimes I run around here complaining about pain, but it feels a whole lot better than it did when it was raggedy. I'll tell you that. So, T, how was your day? How you been? I haven't seen you in a while, Ma. I think I saw you last night for a little bit. How you been? We've got 2 people in the chat thus far. Maybe got some more coming in. Just waiting on some more faces to show up. If you don't have anything to do, come into the place. Let me talk to you. Let me see your face. Hold on. So I'm gonna get started in a few. Let's go up to about 7 minutes before I get started. Excuse me. Excuse me. Got my little glass of water. Sitting in my room. It's a little dark. What's up, E? Love Muffin. What's going on with you? If you want to come on the panel, E, the notification is up there. Please come in. We want to talk to some females for a minute, bounce some questions around about relationships, communication, and how it affects the relationship from a man's point of view and a woman's point of view. So if you got an opportunity, if you get a chance, I want to thank also before we get this really started, I want to thank the 58 subscribers that I got to the channel. If you get an opportunity, please hit the like button, bell notifications, subscribe, and if you are subscribed to my channel, please share out the content. We're trying to get some more people putting something together. Give me a few minutes. All righty, I'll give you as much time as you need. Now, what's crazy, my nose hasn't ran all day until I got up out of the bed and decided to go live and do a live stream. Ain't that some foolishness? So, let me give you a little background on myself. I'm 49 years old, I'll be 50 in September. I am the father of 9 kids, 5 boys, 4 girls. I have been married 3 times. What's up, Damon? I've been married 3 times. I served 6 years in the military. Was deployed once. I'm pretty laid back cat. You know, I am what the military would call disabled. I am a disabled vet. So I don't like talking about patriotic crap because I don't consider myself to be a patriot or patriotic. I just did what I was supposed to do. I just did what my family does, and we serve. So I'm not the first generation of people to serve in our military, but everybody in my family, for the most part, there's been somebody. What's up, Miss Brown? What's up, Miss B Town? There's been somebody in each generation to serve. Myself, well, we can start my grandfather, my uncle, my dad, they all served. Myself, my son, my nephew. My nephew's still in. He's actually dang near did 20 years himself in the Air Force. I'm really proud of that cat. So we all served, and we all have our different stories to tell. I honestly believe that a lot of the issues that I face right now, we tend to joke a little bit, and we tend to make jokes and make light of a lot of subjects. But I honestly feel like a lot of my issues with the inability to commit, I won't say commit in a relationship because that's a little bit too far. But my biggest problem was being able to really take crap in a relationship was due to the fact of me being in the service and never being able to really foster those long-term relationships. And I tell you why. It's like what's up, Zero? It's like growing up as a kid and being a military brat you had friends in cycles, which was crazy as hell to me. It's like you finally get close to somebody, and then before you know it, your parents or their parents are up on orders, and then they go away, and you may see them again, and you may not see them again. So you put up this kind of shield, I think, to where you don't really get close with people, and you don't trust a lot of people. My closest friends in my life have always been people with some connection to the service. Even in my life as an adult right now, I look back and my closest friends, either I was in the military with them, I grew up with them, or, and I don't mean grew up with them like all my life. I mean, we may have been friends in one spot, their parents left or my parents left, and we kept in touch or we reunited. So, yeah, some of my closest friends, I mean, my partners, it trips my wife out because I don't have a bunch of people come to my house because I don't have a bunch of friends like that. I mean, my closest friends, man, really are, well, I got one partner that I serve with that lives here about 15 minutes down the road from me. I barely even see that joker. I mean, me and him are battle buddies. We serve together, like real talk. But and my boss at work, her and I also serve together. So I see her on a daily basis. But as far as other friends, I don't really see too many people. Matter of fact, some of the closest acquaintances and real relationships that I'm having at this point are actually via YouTube. And I laugh about it because I wonder sometimes, is this healthy? And yes, I am not afraid to tell anybody this. I was listening to The Voice yesterday, and I think we were in Miss B Town's chat. I'm not sure if we were in her chat or if we were in somebody's chat. We started talking about mental illness, and I'm sitting back there like, whoa, because I knew she had a mental health background just by the conversation, and so I'm sitting there listening, and I make joke and I make light of it all the time when I'm talking to y'all. I'm like, man, I'm on my VA medicine, and I'm not near about drugged up as a lot of vets that I know. A lot of vets have seen way more than I've seen, been through way more than I've been through. But I take the normal meds. I take Zoloft. I ain't afraid to admit that shit. I mean, it's Zoloft. I mean, a lot of normal people. I mean, a lot of people that we consider to be not normal. Yeah, we're in Nadia's chat. Thanks, Miss Brown. I mean, Miss B Town. We were a lot of normal people take Zoloft. It's just a mood stabilizer. But I deal from anxiety and depression, and I've dealt with it for years, even prior to me going. I think there were some signs of it prior to me going into service, but I think it got worse. Well, I know it got worse while I was in, and you, because your mental thing is a whole lot different. And people don't understand this. I honestly believe anybody that served in the military ought to get a check coming out any damn way, because they teach you how to kill. I mean, I want y'all to really think about this. People always think about the military, oh, it's a job, No, dude, they take 17, 18-year-old kids and teach them how to kill. That's what your first 8 weeks, 9 weeks, 10 weeks, in case of the Marines, their first 14 weeks of service to this country is teaching you how to be a killer. And then you deal on a daily basis with a group of killers. And then you're asking these men and women to enter in successful relationships with proper communication. And I'm saying this, I'm not saying this to sound strange, and I'm not even trying to say this to have a pity party. But you start to understand then why a lot of military people have what we call post-service anxiety, where they it's hard for them to go back into the civilian world because they've been kind of how can I say that they've been kind of institutionalized, to be honest with you. Um, so and then we call it separation anxiety, where you don't know what to do with yourself after you get out of the service because you're so used to people giving you orders and telling you what to do and your day being planned out for you. And the largest swath of your day from 5:30 in the morning to 4:30 in the afternoon is already planned out and scheduled for you, and then you have a few hours to yourself in the evening. It's one of those things that me, I didn't have a lot of problems initially with the idea of exiting from the service, or what we call ETSing from the military. I think what the biggest thing was is once I got into the civilian world and started to see that there really wasn't a chain of command or rank structure or how things operated, it pissed me off and I became very violent. And so I can honestly say the first 5 years after I got out of the military, I was a very bitter and violent dude. I fought for a living. And I mean, I had a normal job, but I trained in martial arts. I was a kickboxing champion. Yes, I know I don't look like it, but yes, I was a kickboxing champion. And so I fought. I bounced part time. I had a real good damn job, but I did all these side hustles to keep my mind active because I was very angry. And so imagine this: when I got out of service, I was already married. I had I had three kids and one on the way, and with one wife, and I'd already had two other kids. So at this point, I'm yeah, I know, right? I was 21, man. I was 21 years old with shoot a slew of kids, and really no means of knowing how I was going to take care of them. I just wanted out of the service, and so imagine a dude that whole life I dreamed that I was going to be in the military for 20 years. I knew I was going to be. So you have different rank structures, and so the enlisted ranks in the army, you start off from private, and your highest rank E9 is command sergeant major. Well, I didn't even want to stay enlisted. I wanted to become a warrant officer. Warrant officers are middle ranks. They're military specialists. So they specialize in a particular facet of service, and they're not quite officers. So they're not like what I used to call back in the day zeros. They ain't zeros. WOs or warrant officers, they go by the title either chief or Mr. or Miss, which I thought was off the chain. Hey, Nadi, what's going on? Y'all can come into the chat. I really don't want to be in this space by myself. So if y'all do, if you would please enter into the chat, you're welcome. I'm getting a bunch of text messages. Good Lord. So anyway, as I went into life and being married, and I was used to a certain amount of stability. Um, I was used to a certain amount of stability in my relationships, but So what's up, E?
Hi.
How you doing, Mama?
All right, and yourself? I do not want to
Good,
interrupt.
good.
What's going on? Good, continue.
Okay. So when I when I first got married, I was 19, just turned 19. And so I spent 2.5 years with her initially in service, and I started going through separation anxiety, and I started to realize, man, I really didn't want this relationship. And I don't think it was because I didn't care about her. I did, but I think I was overseas when I met her, and I was lonely and I was looking for something. And when I got back to the States, she was competing with things that were already in my life, that were rehashing itself. And so I then broke down and didn't have the ability to communicate, which was made it things even worse because we didn't talk. Um, you know, I felt like every problem that I had in a relationship, it was easier for me to deal with it by either throwing money at it or throwing penis at it. And I just got to be honest with y'all. Don't take it lightly. Don't. I'm not trying to be nasty or nothing like that. I'm just telling you my rationality at that time because I did not know how to communicate to a woman. I knew how to get her out of her clothes. I knew how to, buy her stuff because I felt like that made her happy, or I knew how to resort to having sex with her to keep her, what I would say, to basically keep her quiet, I guess, or to keep her emotional needs met. I thought sex kept her emotional needs met, and not even realizing that women really need you to talk to them to keep their interest and to keep them satisfied. And so every relationship that I went into, there was always a disconnect because I either threw money at our problems or I tried to sex them away. And when it comes out to the end, you can't do either. You don't have enough sex to sex away your problems. And unless you Michael Jordan, you ain't got enough money to throw at your issue.
Money
So
can't buy it either.
thank you. And so I started in my late 20s, when I started to realize that my second marriage was on the decline and was about to crumble. I decided that I was going to try something new. And fortunately, I still was working my good job at that time. And I had a side hustle because at that job, I only really worked 15 days a week because we worked 12-hour shifts. So I only worked 15 days out of a month. And so on my long week off, which was 7 days I had off in a row, I would go and work a hustle at a mental facility. And I started really paying a lot of attention to what those providers were telling our patients. And I think I did it in a way. I did it because I knew I had an issue, but I wasn't man enough to really admit to having an issue. So I wanted to be around it so I could get treatment without getting treatment, if that makes sense.
Sure does.
So, but I heard this guy. He was a doctor. I can't remember his name, but he reminded me a lot of my father, and he kind of looked like my pops. He was Haitian, and he used to always tell me, because him and I talked all the time. He used to always tell me, he would say, "You will never change an issue that you're not willing to address." And I was like, "Damn."
Yeah.
You can never change an issue that you're not willing to address. And that's in any aspect of your life. That goes from work situations to relationship situations, family situations. If you think that a situation is going to fix itself, you have lost your mind. So, this is why I think it's important. I like to keep things light and I like to keep things airy and I like to joke and stuff. But I'm coming to us with a serious issue because I realize that in our community, there is a lot of breakdown going on. And yeah, Damon likes a chocolate naughty. I think there's a lot of breakdown in communication. And this is why relationships are really on the decline. So I just want to hear a woman's perspective or women's perspective, and I'm going to share my perspective as well. Like I said, people, y'all are more than welcome to come on the chat. If you are a subscriber, please share this out. For a fact that most people won't see your chat, and this was this came up real quick. So yeah. Oh, Nadia, I bought some soap today too, and I bought some lock stuff. I'm gonna
Good
trust you
stuff.
with this. I know, man. I keep hearing everybody say that it's real good. I even went back and watched a couple of videos today of her making soap, and so I was really impressed. And she little as hell,
I
but
told you
next
she's
time
petite.
she is little as no, she passed the T. She is little as hell. She
She's
got more hair.
little, but
She little, like the little
I
kids.
she's little, but she's cute.
Yes, she is.
Yeah.
She got a hair full of heat. I mean, a head full of hair.
Yes, she do. Like looking at her on live, uh, doesn't you would have to meet her in person
Oh,
to
I can
see the head
imagine.
of hair that she has.
Well, I'm trying to get up there to New Jersey so I can
Yeah.
so I can pick up some soap
Okay.
and some more phone. And so like I said before, please come into the chat. Miss B Town, please come into the chat because I think people need to hear a little bit more of a mature perspective as well. Um, Also, I don't want Nadia to come up here because Nadia says she's only 27. So, we ain't trying to hear things from a child's perspective. We're trying to hear things from a adult perspective. So, how do you feel about in relationships? What do you think is the biggest? What do you think the biggest downfall is as far as relationships are concerned with you?
um, why do I hear feedback from me?
You hear feedback? Let
Yeah, I
me
hear
cut
me
my mic.
double.
Let me cut my mic. Okay, what about now?
Nadia, you are special size. All right, Nadia, you are a special size. You're
Nadia,
proportioned equally.
Nadia is fun size. That's what they call them down
Yes.
here. She fun
Okay.
size.
Don't underestimate a fun size, though. All right.
Okay.
So my thing is definitely communication. Men, it's very hard to communicate with them. They're hardhead. Um, you could ask them a question, and it's like pulling teeth to get that answer. Um, What else? There was something else I was gonna say, but I got sidetracked with the feedback. I don't know. When there's an issue, speak. Don't hold it in. Talk your mind. Get it out, because we do. You know what I'm saying? Then all of a sudden you come back and another situation occurs and you're like, well, why did that just happen? I don't understand. And y'all come with, oh, you remember when this happened and that happened? I didn't say nothing, but it's too late for that. You got to act. You don't have to act like right then and there when something happens. But once you let that heat subside, then you speak, because you can't speak when you're angry either, because you really need to get your words together, and you could say something that you really don't mean. So you should really, like, if you're really upset, you should wait for that to subside a little, let it simmer down, then come at your significant other and tell them, yo, listen, I need to talk to you. Like this, when this happened, it bothered me. Can you please help me to understand why you acted that way? Or let's talk about it. And don't dwell on it. Talk about it. Leave it there. Keep it moving. That's the only way a relationship will work.
I think a lot of times, though, the reason why men are like that, when we're problem solvers. And so yes, so we're problem solvers. And so when you're dealing with a person that is a problem solver, they want to have a clear cut answer to what the problem is. And so when we're dealing in relationships, sometimes it's hard to figure out exactly where your spouse or your mate or your significant other's head is at. And when women get upset and they fuss, it's kind of like when you download too much stuff into a computer and then expect for it to process an answer right away. It doesn't work that way. It takes time for the computer or the operating system to actually transfer the information, then come up with a binary code, then spit out your answer. And so,
True.
huh?
That's true.
So with men, we try to think out a problem because we really want to bring forth a solution. We really don't want to stay in that place. And so we want to move from problem to problem, where women, to be, feel comfortable in the storm. It's crazy to me. I honestly feel like women feel more comfortable inside of the storm because at least they know what's going on around them. And so they deal rationally with what's going on in the storm, where a guy don't want to be in the storm. The dude wants to go through the storm and get it over with and then move on to the next problem.
Well, see,
Or
that's
not
where
have a
you have to
problem
get
at
to.
all.
Okay, so that's where you have to get to know each other and learn how to calm each other's storms down. And all women are not the same. Some women will keep going on the subject and going and going. And then tomorrow in the afternoon, she remembers something and keep going and going. Other women, like myself, I want to talk about it. Let's talk about it. Let's put all the cards on the table, flip them over a couple of times, and that's it. I don't want to harp on it no more. Life is too short to be harping on something. You got to grow together. So, in other words, you guys have to find your happy medium within each other. You can't always point out somebody's flaws either and be like, see, there you go. No, you got to try to help somebody with their flaw and vice versa.
So was that your perspective of how you took on things in the beginning, or did you grow into that state?
I grew into that because, well, I was married for 14 years. So um, I married young. The man was much older than me. And I had to learn him. I had to learn what set him off. I had to learn his likes, his dislikes, and try not to step so much in his dislikes because it was going to set him off. You know what I'm saying? And I didn't want that. But I was also in a very bad marriage. So sometimes anything I did didn't work, you know? So I tried my best. And I guess, haven't found that right person that can connect with me. I can connect with others very well, but I think I haven't found that right person that can connect with me and understand me. That's the only thing I can think of. And plus, he was a crazy son of a gun, you know?
That makes sense. That makes sense. Welcome to Purple in the Bushes. How you doing, Purple Love?
Hey, Greta.
Hey.
What's up, Greta? How you been?
Nothing much. I just wanted to jump in on that really quick because I find that interesting. You say that women like to dwell in that whole friction, right? That whole situation, like when it's tense and everything. And I think that depends on the individual.
Mm-hmm.
That depends on the individual because not all women are the same. And I'm gonna give you a prime example. Now, I don't want anybody to take away from this story that my marriage is perfect, like 100% perfect, but it's very close to it, right? And here's why. Because we balance each other out, but I am so not, despite what you might think of like how I'm not shy, I will gather you. Okay, if I have to, I will. I don't back down to people. I'm not somebody I lie dormant. I'm not docile, and I'm not a damsel in distress, right? That type of situation. But when it comes to my marriage, and say, for instance, we have an issue, I'm the first one to completely shut down. That's a character flaw that I have. I will completely shut down in my marriage. Only in my marriage, I completely shut down. So there is no arguing. I'm just done. I'm over it. It's beyond done, right? I ignore it. I move on. I walk around the house. I move on. My husband will be the one to block me, to make me deal with the situation. He'll say, no. We have to talk. And
that's a good thing,
right? And that's what I'm saying. So we're not all the same. And I kind of think a majority of women who are of a certain age, 28, okay, if you're around 28, special 28, then you realize that it's just not worth it, and it's draining, right? It's draining.
Yeah.
But I also think when you're younger, that whole argumentative, that friction, that, you know, we need to finish this now, and you're blocking doors and things like that, you're speaking to a specific demographic. You're speaking to a specific age group also. Not a lot of mature women are with that. I that's what I think. Like I said, when it comes to me, Nadia, I don't dwell in that type of whole confrontational party. You know what I mean? Like I can't do it. My brain isn't equipped for it. I can't get overloaded with bullshit. I have to move on. So my husband is the calmer of the two, and he's the more rational, you know, one of the two, and he brings that out of me. So he'll force me to have a conversation, and maybe in 20 minutes we're laughing about it and we're okay. So
that's the way it should be.
It should be like that, right? But I know now, not even speaking about my husband, let's go back to an ex. That's so unhealthy. And I've always been the same person, like how I am now, with I'll shut down first. And my ex, I found it to be, to me, a few exes, I found it to be that they are more confrontational. They want to keep an argument going. They want to, you know what I mean? They go to the deep end. and it's like it's dragging on a damn situation. So I find it to be complete opposite in that men are more emotional. They also are more unstable in situations when problems arrive. That's what I think. I think that's what happens. That's just me speaking. Okay.
I believe that we're very emotional. And the reason why I think that men are very emotional, once again, goes back to that problem-solving mentality. If you can't solve a problem, and I know every woman has watched the man problem-solving mentality. Hold on, let me. You can't solve a problem. And I know every. Okay, so I know every man, every woman has seen her man try to put something together. And y'all sit back and laugh y'all's butts off at us when we sit there and try to build something, because it's a whirlwind of foolishness. And so when you sit there and you watch us try to build something and we don't get it right the first time, you'll see hammers being thrown and instruments being thrown, or we'll just throw our hands up and walk away from it. Now, I want you to take that into your relationship. A lot of times when we can't come to a solution, we get frustrated and we get emotional. Either we'll break down and shut up, not talk about it, or we become overly aggressive. I think one of my biggest character flaws in the beginning stages of my life, I was very aggressive. Now, I want y'all to understand this. I didn't beat on women. I don't beat on women. I don't think y'all are here to get beat on. But my mouth.
Okay, Jesus. I'm about to say you too damn big. Lord have mercy.
Okay. My mouth was
girl.
And I could cut you with
So
my tongue.
you mean, I'm sorry. You mean aggressive with your mouth?
Yeah.
Okay.
My mouth was really aggressive. Okay. I don't even want to understand what that laugh was for. But I could cut you.
Oh, I was laughing at Miss B. Miss B Town down there. That's all. She said it's too hard to be arguing.
Yeah. I could cut you with my tongue like it was a straight razor. But I'm glad that I matured out of that. Now I just take my lumps as a man. I just take my lumps. And I may not always agree with the solutions or with how me and my wife argue. And we don't argue. That's the craziest thing. We say what we need to say. We get it out, but we try not to go to bed mad at one another, because I feel like that's very unhealthy.
Sure, it is. Yes. Agree.
Greta.
Yes.
Tell me something else.
What happened?
Tell me something else.
Like what?
Let's talk about relationships.
I'll talk about relationships. I don't know what else to speak about. I just jumped in on that part. I just want to chime in on that because I thought that was something, something to note, because not all women are the same, just like all men are not the same. But I know a certain, like, when it comes to women of a certain age, if you're younger, you're with that argumentative spirit. You know what I mean? Like, you have time on your hands to do it. And you even equate that, depending on your upbringing and what you've been accustomed to seeing as a child, you equate that to being love. You know, so, I see that. And but I also, like I said, when you're young, when you're older, 28, you don't have time for it. You're seasoned in life. You just don't, I rather rectify the situation. And if I feel like I can't rectify the situation, I'm just gonna shut the hell up and let you just argue with yourself. That drives My husband crazy.
Anyone crazy.
Oh,
Anyone. That'll drive anyone crazy.
honey, let me tell you, his big ass will be walking with me like we need to talk, and I'm like, nope, honey, I am making a cup of coffee. I'm cleaning off the counter. Oh, I know how to ignore. I am the pro at ignoring, and that kills him because I just don't want to do the back and forth. Like either we're gonna figure it out, or and he is that Mr. Fix It. Like, okay, let's we got to fix this. So I appreciate that about him. But I also, like I said, I think that's a woman of a particular age that is willing to sit and debate and argue, and it's not healthy. And what are we gonna gain from that? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I used to listen. My mama argued a lot, and so
Right.
as a man, I hated to hear my parents fight. I think like any kid does, but they had issues that I didn't even understand until I got in my 30s. Once the real problem came out, and I found out what the real problem was. And my mama held a grudge against my dad for 30 some odd years, and probably held on to it until he died last year.
Wow.
Wow.
Yeah, that's a
Mhm.
character. That's something.
See, that's another thing.
Mm-hmm.
That's another thing. I feel like if you're gonna hold on to a grudge, like that's not healthy at all. Like, if you're gonna forgive someone for whatever they did, you have to learn how to forgive. You don't gotta necessarily
Absolutely.
forget,
And you
but
got to go wholeheartedly.
if you're gonna forgive,
Don't bring it back.
if you're gonna forgive, you gotta forgive.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yep.
You're right. You're right. I agree.
Yeah, my mama gave my dad straight hell. And when I found out what the problem was, then she was mad at me because I didn't take her side. And I'm like, so I can be straightforward. I have two siblings. I have two older sisters. My oldest sister is 7 years older than me, and my next oldest sister
Hey,
is
Miss TR.
6.5 years older than me. Hey, Miss TR. So y'all figure it out.
Wait, say that again.
My oldest sister.
Your oldest sister is 7 years.
Yeah, my oldest sister is 7 years older than me. And my next oldest sister is 6.5 years older than me.
Oh, okay. Okay.
So my dad had an outside baby.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I guess. But you stayed with him.
Yes, that was her choice.
Right. And then they lied to us. We didn't even know. I didn't know I had a sister until I was 37. I didn't know I had another sister.
Damn.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
How did you feel about that?
I was pissed. Because here it goes. I used to listen to my sister all the time say she wanted a younger sister, not knowing that she had a younger sister. And then it wasn't till my sister's husband got stationed in Little Rock, Arkansas, to where I started realizing funny shit was going on with my parents, even worse. And come to find out that my other sister lived in Little Rock, Arkansas. So, when I found this out, the story was that my dad had two girlfriends. My mama got pregnant. My granddaddy then performed a shotgun wedding. Oh, God. thing. I can still see it to this day in my head. But he had already had another girl pregnant. She just didn't know she was pregnant yet. When my dad found out, he did the right thing, told my mom, told her, said, look, if you don't want to be with me, I understand. She decided to stay. And for 50 some odd years, I think it was 56 years, my dad went through hell because he was never able to be with his child, even though he paid child support and all that. He was never with his child, and he never shared that with us.
But that's something he also chose to do. Like he could have said, no, I have a child. I have to acknowledge this child just like my other children. And I have to let our other children know that they have a sibling. It is my error. And it's something that you're choosing to forgive me for, but that's something that can't be put to the side. Like, I know exactly what you're talking about because that happened to me. Wow. And I told my ex-husband, I said, listen, you, not exactly in that way, but the child's about, I want to say 5 years younger than my daughter, or maybe 6. And I told him, I said, you have to tell her that is not my place to tell her. That is your place. That is your error. That is your mistake that you did or something you chose to do. And this is what happened. But that is not my place to tell my child that you chose to have a child while we were married. So I would appreciate it if you tell her that she has a younger brother. And till this day, he has not told her. And my child is 23 years old.
Wow.
And it took for, I'm going to say after I separated from him, it took about, I want to say 2 years later that it put her head. And to make a long story short, the girl was my friend. And they chose to do the do, okay? And they had a child out of it. So, well, she wasn't my friend. She befriended me so that she could get together with my husband. But
to get in your bed. To get in your bed.
What you say? Well, she didn't get in my bed. They got in somebody else's bed, but not in my bed.
Well, and I mean,
anyway, yeah. So, shit happens. You know what I'm saying? And most men are dogs. You know what I mean? And I just told him straight out, just let your child know that she has a sibling. God forbid. I know there's a big gap there, but you know, nowadays you don't know. How about if they run into each other and they kind of fall in love because they think the attraction that they have is an attraction of a companionship type love, but it really isn't. It's a brotherly, sisterly love, I told him. So why can't you just let her know what's the deal? So anyway, to make a long story short, 2 years later, my daughter forgot that she ran into her in a store, and she saw her and she remembered her, and she saw that she was with a little boy. So my daughter asks me 2 years later, she's like, you remember that female? I can't remember her name. And she goes, oh yeah, so-and-so. I'm like, yeah. And I looked at her and she was like, she has a little boy. And I'm like, okay. And she's like, can I ask you a question? And I want you to be 100% honest with me. And I'm like, go ahead. I don't got nothing to hide. And she asked me straight out, is that my brother? And I said, you damn skippy it is. And she got upset with me and said, why didn't you tell me? And I said, that's not my place to tell you. That's your father's place to tell you. That was not my doing. That's your father doing. I asked him many times to tell you and he chose not to.
Wow.
So to this day, she has not brought it up to him, but she's working her way up there because there is a fear there. The man is a very aggressive man. He was a very abusive man. So, she's working her way up there right now. And I told her just flat out ask him, there's no just do it. Just talk about it and tell him I don't want to argue about this. I want to ask you a question and just talk about it. And I'll be on standby. If homeboy gets out of hand, I'll come straighten him out. But it's just she he's a big dude, you know what I'm saying? And we've been through a lot with him. So they just recently started talking again after quite a few years. And she's trying not to mess that up. But I told her, I said, whether you bring it up now or whether you bring it up later, it's going to be the same reaction. Just do it.
That's understandable. I mean, that's understandable.
Mm-hmm.
I think one of the craziest things was once I found out that I had a sister, I went that very same week and I went and spent a complete week with her. I stopped what I was doing, and I was in college at that time, and it was right after finals, which was a good time. It was right after midterms, I'm sorry. And so I took that break between midterms and the next semester to actually take time out and go spend time with her and get to know her. And it was scary because out of all my siblings, she looks more like my dad than I do, or like than we do. And but she how we say everybody needs a Shay in their family.
Yes.
She's the Shay of the family. And but she's amazing and she's a great person. And even up until the death of our father, she never, to me, I never heard her call my dad dad. She used to always call him Mr. Grant. And it used to piss my dad off. I was so tickled. My dad would be pissed off. But I've learned over the years, and I think that taught me a lesson because my dad always talked to me, and me and him had a real tight relationship. And I think he always wanted to tell me, but I think in all my relationship problems, he always told me without telling. He spoke in parables. And
Okay.
Yeah, he spoke in some serious parables. And, some of them you got and some of them you didn't. And it wasn't until my sister, was revealed to us that then all the stories that he told me all made sense. Because I'm like, how does he know? He been with the same woman and he ain't got no outside kids and he ain't did all this crap. And come to find out, he was the architect.
Wow.
So yeah, but wait to see if anybody else is willing to come up on the panel. Let me redrop the link just in case some people want to come up. Yeah, I want to thank Nadia for coming up, and spending some time with us on the link. Purple, you want to come and make a visit? You want to get out of the bushes for a little bit? If you want to come out of the bushes and come onto the panel, me and E will be glad to have you up. We're not gonna stay up here much longer. It ain't gonna be one of them 4-hour marathons or 6-hour marathons like we had last night that we all recovering from. Anybody want to come on up? I'm waiting on you. Okay, we just hit the hour mark. What about so let's see. We talked about oh, she dropped. Okay, so we basically talked about men and women in relationships. We talked a little bit about communication, and I want everybody to know for a fact that I've realized as a man that once you are willing to address a problem, you have to then be understanding on how to address the person. You have to know the person that you deal with, and so you have to be able to come with them with a open mind, because you're gonna have to be willing to receive feedback, and and you're gonna have to be man enough or woman enough to take what they give you. I mean, that's just it in a nutshell. If you're not willing to hear, and I'm not saying, you know, just let them talk and you in another space. I'm talking about honestly sitting down and hearing what this other person is saying to you, then you are really more the problem in the relationship than you think. Um, and that was one of the biggest things for me to deal with, because I realized about myself, I'm a lot, I'm a little bit like Nadia would say. Sometimes we get into things and I just shut down. And there's certain things that in relationships I can't handle. Like one of my biggest things, and I'm gonna tell y'all this, and it was a trip. I don't deal well with death. Um, at all. At all, I don't deal well with death. And I don't even deal well with the situations leading up to it. And I think one of my biggest regrets that I have as an adult male is that I didn't see my dad. Let's see. So my dad got sick a year ago, 2 years ago, in December, and he was here in Dallas when he got sick, and so I saw him quite a bit. But once they were able to stabilize him a little bit and move him back to Louisiana, um, I may have visited him a couple of times, but I didn't see him. I got pissed with him when I went to go see him. The last time I saw him was probably 2.5, maybe 3 weeks before he passed. And I had gotten pissed with him because of something that he said. Oh, okay. Um, so I'm gonna give you a rundown of how the relationship was. Me and my dad were real tight. I mean, we were like peanut butter and jelly, man. We were just that tight. We were different in a lot of ways. I took a lot of his mannerisms. Um, I call them grannisms. My sense of humor I get from him. Um, my sense of family, and I think he had a different mindset when it came to dealing with family than I do. Um, he could be really pops could be cold as hell. And I ain't gonna lie, my pops could be cold as hell. When you turned him off, his ass was off, and that was it with him. Um, in some retrospects, I have that same mentality that when you cut me off or when I get turned off with you, it's not for a day, it's forever. I mean, once the water is off, there ain't no going to reinstate the bill and none of that stuff. Even in relationships, when I'm done with a woman, I'm done. I don't really go back. If we if we just grew apart, that's different. If there was no closure in the relationship, that's different. But if me and you were dating and we broke up, I'm not coming back. I'm not interested in coming back. I don't want to come back, and that's it. I'm done. So in that sense, we were a lot alike. We dealt with things certain ways alike. So before my dad got sick, I mean, before my dad passed, he was he was really sick. He'd came here to Dallas to see. Me and my wife built a new house, and he came to see the new house, and he was here like 2 days before he got sick. And he had always promised me that he wasn't going to leave me until he figured out that I could handle it. And it was just one of them things. He used to always say that to me. He was like, son, you don't ever have to worry about me leaving you like my dad did, like my dad left me. I'm going to always be here for you until I realize that you're man enough to handle it. And so, I'm sorry, y'all. I might get a little emotional in this shit. So, yeah, so when he got sick, and I always looked up to my pops. And my pops wasn't a big dude. My dad was like 5'8", maybe on a good day. And but you know, I was god awfully. I wasn't afraid of him, like I wasn't afraid that he was gonna do me bodily harm or nothing like that. But I had a reverence for my dad, um, a a a respect for that man. It was like what he said was always golden to me, and I rarely bucked him. There were certain instances in my life where I bucked my father, but as a man, I rarely ever bucked him. Matter of fact, the woman that I'm with now, who's my wife, was probably the only female that my dad even approved for me, um, and which tripped me out. He really liked her, and so when I dealt with my dad and I dealt with the relationship that I had with him, I just didn't want to see him go. And the day that he really got sick was the day after Christmas, 2000. I guess it was 2018. He got real sick. I had to call the ambulance to come get him. You know, I had to do. I'm medically trained, so you know, I did all the things that medical people do. Um, they got him stable, got him into the ambulance. But when we got to the hospital, he had threw up all over himself, and I can remember myself outside praying. And they didn't have a room to put him in when we first got to the hospital, so he was actually sitting out in the hallway. Um, he was sitting out in the hallway, and so I got up and I went outside and I started praying. And it was his birthday was December the 27th, and so this was the 26th of December, about 8 o'clock at night. And I was like, Father, if I thank you for letting me have my dad this long, but you know, if you got to take him, can you please give me a little more time? I just need a little more time to you know, function around this. And I'll never forget that night because it was a rainy night. I mean, it was raining so hard that you could barely see your hand in front of your face. And no sooner than I said this, lightning crashed. Lightning crashed across the street from the hospital. I mean, to actually see the bolt of lightning hit the ground. And so I run back into the hospital because, you know, we scary. So I run my butt back into the hospital, and my dad's in the hallway and he's looking for me, and he's responsive because when I left out, he wasn't responsive. And my dad said his voice was real weak, and he was like, "Son, where you been?" And I said, "Dad, I was outside praying." And he looked at me and he grabbed my hand and he had vomit all over him, and I had tried to clean the vomit up off of him. And he looked at me and he said, "Son," he said, "Nigga, pray here. Pray here. I ain't outside. I'm right here." And so we laughed because there was a lot of white people around us too. And I guess he was really serious. They just said, nigga, pray here. Nigga, pray here. So, you know, I just didn't want to see him go. I had come to terms with the fact that I was going to be alone for the rest of my life with him leaving, because me and my dad talked every day, you know. And even now on my phone, I have voicemail messages from him that I listen to periodically from time to time, because I didn't idolize my dad in the sense that I made him a god, but I respected my dad in the sense that I was grateful that the father had given me an earthly father who was that dude, who was a pillar, who was like I told y'all, like we were talking in another chat, and I was telling Miss Hester that, you know, me being dyslexic, I'm highly intelligent. Don't get me twisted. I'm very intelligent. I just can't see letters and numbers and stuff straight. Um, so don't get it twisted. I'm not a dummy by any means of the word. I'm highly intelligent. I'm a very intelligent guy, but I'm not I can't learn that way. I can't learn by picking up a book and reading it. But if I hear the audio, if I see the visual, I don't forget it. And so in that sense, I'm an auditory and a visual learner. But that's how Black people are set up anyway to learn, because we pass stories down through traditions. Think about it. Your grandmama didn't write a cookbook, women. She pulled your butt in the kitchen and showed you how to take that lard out of that Crisco bottle. I mean, out of that Crisco can, and she showed you how to fry fish. You see what I'm saying? Um, she, you know, so it is our nature as a people that we learn auditory and visually, where white people, they don't learn like us. They are really more, they learn more through writing and more through teaching methods like that. That's why we don't do well in schools. That's why I tell people, don't let people tell you that your kids are ADD and that your kids have these learning disorders. They just, it's their inability to find a way to teach your child that causes them to be labeled as such. Yes, we do have people who have, and the reason why Black kids are hyper sitting in a classroom, for one, when you take a bird and you cage it, it it's not in its natural environment. It can't move the way that it should move. What's up, Ready Red? So when you cage a bird in its environment, I mean, and take it out of its environment, it will tend to act out. Just like when the white folks be making them damn lions and tigers they pets and monkeys, and then they get attacked and don't understand why, because certain things cannot be domesticated. And dealing with us as Africans, or I don't like calling us Africans, but I mean we are an Afro-Asiatic people. We learn through traditional storytelling. We learn through trial and error, because think about it: we hunted, we planted, we were built to yeah, it's in our nature, it's in our DNA, it's written in us that we have a connection with the soil and that we have a connection with the earth and everything in it. And so we can't learn in a classroom. We have to actually, our classroom is life, and our classroom is passed down stories that help us to learn. And so when you deal with when you're dealing with school systems and you're dealing with these people that are trying to teach your kids and they don't come to the grips or the understanding that we don't learn from a book like that, then they want to label your kids and have them on medication. And even with me being dyslexic as hell, I had to honestly come up with a way of learning that was best for me. I was fortunate that in sixth grade, a white teacher, I'll never forget her name. Her name was Miss Vaughn. She realized that I was intelligent, and she realized that when she gave me tests, what are those tests where they had those quizzes where you would, she would ask a question and you would write down the answer, that I did well on those tests. But if she gave me a test where the question was written down and I had to pick an answer, I didn't do well on those tests. Or when I had to read out loud, I used to count the number of people and count the paragraph so I could read and try to break down the paragraph way before it was my time to read. Or I would get sick, or I would go to the bathroom, or I had to go to the bathroom. I never got sick in any other classes, just reading. So she kind of figured it out, and she was loving enough and caring enough that she didn't call me out on it. She actually made me stay in from lunch. I mean, from recess one day, and and I did bad on the test, and so she made me take the test. But she asked me the questions, and I gave her the answers, and I made 100 on the test. And she was like, "You're dyslexic." That's how I was diagnosed, and so she had some people come and test me while I was in school, and sure enough, I was dyslexic. But my mama didn't want to hear that mess. My mama just said I was lazy and I didn't want to learn. You know how black mothers can be at times. So, um, but yeah, I mean, I don't know where I went with that. I must have went off on a tangent. That's why I be needing y'all to be in the chat with me so I don't go off on these tangents. But I realized from that learning that I was close to my pops. And so when my pops found out that something was wrong with me, my dad taught me out of the Bible. And I will never forget the first Bible passage that I was able to read. It was Proverbs chapter 28. And he made me read it line for line. And each day he would come back and make me read another Bible passage. And this went clean on until I got into high school. And once I started to be able to pick up, and he started to show me tricks. Like, I don't really recognize letters per se more than I recognize how they come across on the screen. I see more shapes than I do letters, if that makes sense. So I can see a word. I can see a word, and because of how the word is laid out, I can kind of get a grip on what the word is, and then I process it, and then I can tell you what the word is. So if you ever notice when I write in the chat, sometimes I leave S's off of words, or because I don't know why that is. I don't know why that is, but that's what I do. But I'm grateful that I had that relationship with my father. And I'm telling you, parents, don't allow the system to get you caught up in the fact that your kids have a problem. You need to force them. The first thing you need to do is find out how your kid learns. If they're an auditory learner, if they're a visual learner, if they're a written learner, um, you need to know these things because you don't have a leg to stand on, especially when you go and you have an IEP conference with a teacher and they're trying to make up an IEP for your kid so he could get some help. I needed extra time. But the fact of the matter was my mama wasn't gonna go for me having an IEP. So I had to figure out ways to learn. And and my mom used to get mad because I never brought homework home. And the reason why I never brought home homework is because I was doing my homework for the most part in class with the teacher there. So I could ask questions right then, if that makes sense. Um, but learn how your kids learn. That way, when you go to have these teacher conferences, you can set up a plan or a way to learn or to teach, so that your kid can have a better standing or a better way of learning. Um, and you hold those teachers to it. If your child needs for the teacher to read the questions when they take their test and do it a verbal test, then you document that. If they need more time, you get that documented, and that IEP will hold up in court. And that way, if they go against your IEP or don't allow your kid the concessions in that IEP, you can hold the school board accountable for it. Anybody else want to? Who's in the bushes? Um, matter of fact, I'm gonna do a bush check. If you here in the stream and you've been in the bushes, please put some eyes in the chat. I just want to see 2 eyes in the chat. I don't want to see the bushes because I already know you in there. Just put 2 eyes in the chat so I can at least acknowledge the fact that you're here. I want. I know you've been in the chat. I know you've been in the bushes. Um, I don't know who in the bushes. I came out. Yeah, I know you came out because you like this subject matter. Purple, come on. Um, why don't you hit the live stream with me real quick? Because I want to ask you something. And I want to send a shout out to the leader of the Dry Snitch gang, Purple Love 3. See, here we go, 3130. See, numbers kill me. Numbers and words in a sentence kill me. Purple, just come up here for about 30 seconds. I promise if I come to New Orleans, I'll buy you a snowball. She is not going to come in. She said, I see, that's why I stay down here. You are not going to worry me. Just come here for a second. I need to ask you something. Real talk. All right, I ain't gonna beg you to come into the stream. I guess you don't want to. But everybody, I've been in here I'm gonna try to stay in here for at least an hour and 30 minutes. Is that a good amount of time, Miss B Town? An hour and 30 minutes? I don't want to just ask you. I need to hear your voice. That's why I'm asking you to come up, because then you're gonna make me read out your thing. And I told you I'm dyslexic. I be catching hell. Yeah, listen to your elders and come on up here. All right, Eurydice is in the house. Ready Red still in the house. My boy Skins is about to come on in a few minutes, and so if y'all get a chance, if y'all are friends with Skins fan all day or Burgundy and Gold, Burgundy and Gold fan all day, here we go. Hold on. What's going on, Purple?
Hey, me.
You got the baby?
Yeah, get the fuck out. Hello.
Were you talking about your grandson today?
No, my son.
Your son?
I don't have no grandkids. I'm only 33.
Still a baby.
I was talking about my son.
So coming out of Louisiana school system, because I did too, what was one of the hardest things you had to face going into this with them at school?
When he first started, before we found out he needed an IEP, he had I was getting phone calls every day, like school let in around 7:45. By 8 o'clock, I was getting phone calls to come get him from school because he would break out and get nervous and start crying. And that's when they found out he had a little problem. And so I didn't know what to do. And the school, the teacher was upset and I was upset. And it was like, we should start an IEP. I didn't know what an IEP was until they told me that it would protect him and myself. So we just started building his IEP to get him on the right track. And that's when I found out he had autism and ADHD.
So is he like does he have a mild case of autism or is he severely autistic?
It's a mild case because if you look at him, you will never know until you start talking to him.
And so he's really reserved and he's introverted, but he gets angry.
Yeah, he have depression. So when he gets upset, he gets like real upset. He breaks down and he want to fight. He want to cry, and it takes like about an hour to calm him all the way down.
Yeah. Have you had to take on different alternative learning to help him out as far as not just okay? So an IEP for all y'all that are don't understand, it's an individual education plan or in this individual educational plan. Hold on.
Right.
Excuse me. One more for the road. There we go. This individual learning plan holds the kids accountable. Holds the teacher and the kids accountable, and it gives what I call alternatives to help the kid in their learning. And so there's certain things that the teacher can't do because they have to adhere to the IEP. So if they realize that a kid has a problem taking time tests, the kid doesn't have to have his test on time. So he can sit there and take the test for 2 or 3 days if he needs to until he's finished with the test.
Right.
So those modifications, that's what I wanted to say. Those modifications then should help keep the kid on task and on grade level. That's the most important thing that people don't understand. You want to keep your kid on task and on grade level because the government benefits when they hold your kid back.
Yep. He was in the school of 375 kids, and I had to take him out of that school and put him into a school of only 20 kids because when we took him from the 300 kids, we put him with 100 kids, and the 100 kids was even worse. So I took him from all those levels and brought it all the way down to just 20 kids so that he could learn one-on-one with his teachers, counselors, and therapists.
And that's a fact. They don't want. That's one of the hardest things that we have to fight in our community is that we need smaller groups we don't learn in packs. We don't have that kind of mentality. We deal with each other one on one, and
Right.
and 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 we also let me get this kind of get this out in a way that people don't, can get a better understanding. We have a tribal mentality, and we deal more in family groups. And
Hmm.
if a kid can have that kind of comfort where he's dealing in a family group, then it's easier for him to learn. It takes away the other anxieties. When you have a kid that's used to two or three or four siblings or a general family around him, and then you throw him with 100 students, he's not going to function properly.
Right.
When you deal with a kid, when you deal with that same kid and you throw him in a room with 12 folks, he may be able to relax, and then that will allow those stimuli that have been set off to die down, and he can now learn properly. That was one of the things that I had to deal with, is that and I still have that issue today. I have issues with big groups. I don't like being in big packs. Matter of fact, I
Hmm.
really don't like leaving my damn house. And my wife, she gets heated with me because I don't like to travel, and that's a part of my anxiety issue. But I'm
Right.
grateful that she has an understanding of that, and she realizes that that's an issue that I have. So now, if she goes somewhere and it has a lot to do with traveling, she'll at least ask me, baby, do you want to come? And then if I tell her no, she don't harp on it. Um,
Right.
you know, but earlier in our relationship, before I went and actually let her, you know, get the when she saw me interacting with a therapist, then she began to realize that yeah, these issues were bigger than her.
Right.
So that was cool. I wanted to ask you that, Purple, because I know that's one of those things that you are dealing with, and I want to tell you that don't lose sight of the goal. Um, Make sure that those teachers hold them accountable for everything that's on that IEP. And
Yeah.
the more you stay active in your kids' education, the more they're going to do for your child. That's one of the big things that we have to learn in our community, is that we can't just send our kids to school like white folks and expect for them to be treated fair. It's not going to happen.
Exactly.
So, but when they know that they got to hear your voice or see your face, or they're going to get a phone call or they're going to get a letter, they're going to treat your kids a lot differently than they would if then the other parent that don't go and check on their kids.
Yeah. There's a teacher that I always fall out with this teacher. Me and her done had words so many times, and I'm like, you gonna see me, lady, every day. I've been a part of this school for years, so you gonna see my face every day. Might as well get used to it. And she's always like, but he's a growing boy. You can't treat him like that. I'm like, my son is from a different level. He's not like any other kid in this school. And when I found out she took him from his classes where he felt safe at and put him into regular classes, I raised all type of hell.
Yeah, and you got to. I mean, now I will tell you this, and I'm gonna tell you this from my experience. I don't completely, don't get it twisted.
Right.
Some interaction in a bigger group, in moderation, will help your child to peel away those things that bother him,
Right.
but they have to be monitored. And what I'm
Hmm.
saying, and I'm going to be very clear with you on this. If you notice that he is starting to become anxious in a situation and he comes home and he complains about it, then you need to march up there.
Yeah, I do. That's why they get tired of seeing me. They be like, every time you tell us something, here she come.
That's your child. Yeah,
Yeah,
and to be honest with you, they'll be there for their kids.
right.
And the things that they demand, they demand, we have to beg for.
Yeah.
So I'm grateful to hear a sister in this time and age who takes a general interest in the learning of her child, because to compete in this society, you need to be able to compete on their level. You got to be able
Hmm.
to with them. Unless you plan on being an entrepreneur and you got some money and you still got to deal with it,
Right.
you
You got to
know.
stand toe to toe with them because as soon as you back down, they're gonna walk all over you and tell you, "Oh, it's gonna be okay. He just need to do this. He just need to do that." And then next thing you know, your child kept back another year because you decided to listen to them and not stand firm.
That's it. Yeah, you definitely gotta stick to your guns when it comes to these school systems. And here's another thing: when your child gets old enough and he gets out of school, being that you're in New Orleans,
Hmm.
um, it push him to go to college. And I'm gonna tell you why.
Right.
I went in the military, to be honest with you, because I didn't feel like I was gonna be able to go to college because of my issue. And that was the worst mistake I could have made. Because once I found out that I was able to compete with those people who I deemed to be smarter than me and
Hmm.
to excel, there was no stopping me.
Right.
Yeah, so don't allow them, because the IEP will also transfer to college.
Yeah.
So make sure that he gets what he needs so he can be competitive. I got a doctor right now, white lady that I deal with. She's autistic
Hmm.
and she deals with them patients and she does her job, and she might not interact with you that much, but she's good.
Yeah, they try to make it seem like when your kids have autism, that they're done for. Like there's nothing you could do for them. But I believe in pushing him. I'm not gonna give up on him just because they're like, oh, he in special ed, so just leave him in special ed. No, because my son was in the sixth grade reading on the eighth grade level, and then his grade started dropping. And she was like, well, he's still reading at a sixth grade level. That's not good enough for me. If he was doing good, I want him to keep doing good.
And that's one of the things too, because I didn't get on grade level until I got into college, which was crazy as hell.
Right.
When I had to take the SAT, or I think that's called the SAT. Um, I scored high enough on the SAT to where I didn't have to take remedial classes, but I went to a historical Black college and university, and I want to tell people that Black people, send your kids to Black colleges. Don't send your kids to them colleges with them dang gray folks, because what will happen, they will definitely lose your kid in the mix.
Hmm.
You'll find people that don't give a dang about your children. But
Right.
when I went to my professors and I told my professors how I learned, they were really nice, and they were nice enough for me to leave a tape recorder in the room, and I wouldn't even have to be there. I come in at the beginning of class, And if they weren't doing a lecture, or even if they were doing a lecture and I had to work late, I would leave my tape recorder in the class, and I would tape the class, and I would study from the tape.
Right.
You ain't gonna find that in you ain't gonna find that in a predominantly PI what is it, predominantly a PWC.
You sure
But
ain't.
in an HCBU, if you can, sit down with your professors and sit down with your department heads and talk to them, because I told them, I was like, shoot, I got kids in school, and I actually, my daughter was my oldest daughter. Well, not my oldest daughter, but my next oldest daughter. She was going in. She was in college at the time. Me and her were in college at the same time, and so I was like, look, I got to get done. I don't need my
Yeah.
child to beat me out of school.
Right.
So I got an associate, and then I went back and you know, took care of everything else. So
That's how you gotta do it.
that's how you got to do it. So I'm glad that we had this conversation, because
Me too.
it's good. You ain't alone in this either. And I want to make sure that you understand you're not alone in this, and you have people here who care about you, and that you can talk to and that you can vent to. Um, so don't think that you're alone, sis, because you're not.
Thank
You
you.
you're fortunate to have a community of
Yeah,
people that care.
I appreciate that.
You're more than welcome. Oh boy. Well, we're almost on the two. We're heading up to 2 hours on this chat. I want to plug somebody's business. So I'm gonna plug Nadia's business.
Mhm.
Sincerely yours, Nadia. And the reason why I'm gonna plug it, all of y'all probably have bought things from her. And when I get my package in, I'm gonna do an unveiling. I'm gonna do a video. I'm alive to show y'all exactly what I got. And because I really believe that we black owned business, and we need to allow our dollar to circulate in our own community, because we don't. So if you get something, and yes, in Eurydice, she does food. Um, I don't know if she does cookies, um, which I hold on, let me fix up. I know she does cookies, and so you know, try to give her some orders and see, to help her out a little bit. Now, she's a working woman, but try to peel some money off into her pocket. We got to take care of our own, because if we don't, in times like this, we are going to struggle. So, Eurydice, if you get a chance to come back on, let people know what kind of cookies you make, and what you're able to send out, if anything, or if you're even ready to start doing that. I think Miss Brown, I think Miss B Town needs to do she needs to go ahead and make some greens and send them out. I take mine with smoked turkey though. All right, y'all. Hello, is. Yeah, that's the physical power right there. So, everybody, once again, I want to thank y'all for coming and hanging out with me for a little bit today. On this Sunday, I want to thank everybody that also went to my other channel and hung out with me yesterday. Um, like I told y'all before, if you have any questions for me, let me know. Uh, we're gonna make some wings, Miss D-Town. No, I ain't gonna be sidetracked. We're gonna make some wings. You know, I'll eat the heck out of some chicken wings. I was late, but I made prayer. Well, go back and look at the, it's up there. Go back and look. I do tell everybody, though, bring your Bible, man. When you come, um, I'm gonna make some chicken wings. Oh, yeah, I do have a video of me jerking some chicken. That didn't come out right. That came out completely bad. I do have a video on Facebook, and I think it's still on my phone. I think I'll upload it where I did some jerk chicken and some jerk chicken wings and thighs. I'm gonna let y'all know I can cook. I just don't put it out there because people get in the big. I love curry. I love West Indian food. So I make curries. I try to make a little roti. I rice and peas. I can cook spaghetti. I can cook anything. I mean, it's just a matter of me not being lazy and wanting to cook. But, oh yeah, I do oxtails. I do some oxtails so good to make like 10 to 20 people in your neighborhood. Yeah, well, man, let me tell you, I made I cooked some beans just before I got off of work. I cooked some beans and took them up to my job, and you talking about Negroes. I cooked a huge crock pot full of beans, and you talking about Negroes was hot. I mean, hot with me because they were like, "We didn't know you could cook. You could have been doing this." No, I couldn't. I ain't not cooking for you. I just decided to show you that I had some skills. And then I got mad that day because I cooked some red beans and I had put these ham hocks in them. And I used to baby my ham hocks. 'Cause what I would do is I would burn the outside of the ham hock and scrape it down with a knife to make sure I got all the hair off of them. Then I would sear them. Then I would put them in the crock pot and I would add the water. I'd add garlic cloves, onions, and I would just cut the crock pot on and I would leave that on during the day. Then when I came home from work, I'd have my beans and soak it in water. And then when I got home from work, I put my beans in and I would then cook my ham hock. I mean, cook my beans. And so when 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 it came down to some ham hocks would fall apart, and then I would add andouille sausage, um, a little bit of andouille sausage, bell pepper. Um, what else did I put in there? Because I put a lot of stuff. Andouille sausage, bell pepper, jalapeno. I cut up jalapenos and cut them up and put them in there. We talking about my. Then I cook me some rice, baby. See how I did that purple? I threw that accent on it, baby. Let me tell you, talking about some heat. But yeah, so maybe I'll from time to time, if I decide to cook, I'll bring y'all in the kitchen with me and let y'all see me cook, and let y'all see me wash the meat. Pause. I'm not talking nasty. I'm talking about preparing the meat. See, there is no way that this will come out right coming out of my mouth. So I'm gonna get off of here, and we're gonna wait for the next person to come up live, and we're gonna sit down and enjoy them. So y'all have a great day. I love you, and keep your head up. Peace. And I'm out.